am today doing a video on Virgo. So what are the dark qualities and the positive qualities of Virgos? It's only fair, since I did Leos and I talked about, Madonna, J-Lo, Meghan Markle, Princess Margaret, that I talk about Virgos and talk about Prince Harry and Bernie Sanders and Amy Winehouse and Michael Jackson, to name a few names, and the likes of Sophia Loren. So, Virgo. You guys know I'm going to have so much to say about this because I am a Virgo. However, it's not about me. It's about Virgo. So I'm going to go through the good qualities of Virgo. Intelligent. I have never met a stupid Virgo in my life. I can honestly say that. Exacting. Gives good advice whether you want to hear it or not. Good fashion sense. Very particular. Organized, but doesn't always mean neat. Organized with thoughts, maybe. If not organized with surroundings, usually more organized with thoughts and intellect and expressing a thought. Loves to give to people, but only if they really care about that person. Otherwise, they're cheap. Really likes to nurture people in more of a methodical, I know best way than Cancer is more of that motherly intuition way. Virgo is similar, but does it in a more I know best way. Listen to me, I'm your doctor. Not literally, but like a figurative archetype of like the nurse. Like Virgo would be the doctor, Cancer would be the nurse archetype. Intelligent. I know I'm repeating intelligent twice, but I just feel like it's one of those signs like Gemini, because Virgo and Gemini are ruled by Mercury. It's just like, damn, like I meet other Virgos and it's like whatever topic it is they know, so intelligent. For instance, male Virgos I've talked to before, they may not have known a lot about astrology and cards, but what they knew about, they were an expert on. So it's kind of like how Sagittarius is the jack of all trades, master of none. Virgo is not the jack of all trades at all and only a master of one or maybe two things. That's Virgo. So if you look at my examples of Virgo are much more dynamic than Leo. I wish I had given some male examples of Leos, but I didn't think of it because most of my following on this channel is female, so I always go right to thinking of females to talk about. I think the reason why I thought of males in this video for Virgo is because Prince Harry is a guy, and that's who we're going to be focusing on from the royal family. Virgo is also, I might want to say, that I want to say, not might want to say, is one of those signs that people don't expect is the way they are. I don't know if you know what I mean by that. So like people say, oh, Prince Harry couldn't be a Virgo. He's too wild. He's too this, he's too that. Well, I got news for you. We Virgos are pretty wild. It's the archetype of the lady on the streets. You know that saying, lady on the streets, freak in the bed? And I'm not even talking about sex here. I'm just talking about the change in personality. That's Virgo, believe it or not. Virgo, and I've known a lot of other Virgos like this, they will give a picture to the rest of the world, and then behind closed doors, they're a different way. And I don't even mean like intimately, I just mean their personality is different. Kind of like Gemini in that way. But the thing is with Prince Harry is he shows it more to everybody. He plays it up. But he has that witty sense of humor that a lot of Virgos have. Same thing with Bernie Sanders. And the thing with Virgos is when they're passionate about something, they will know everything about it. They'll be able to tell you everything about it intellectually, but they will never back down from what it is they want. That's why you see people like Michael Jackson and Beyonce or Virgos, because it's like holding on to this thing until you can become the master of this one thing that you do. Whether you agree with Bernie Sanders or not, I honestly... I know I'm going to sound like a pain in the ass. That's my Aquarius moon that bucks against everything in convention. But I didn't support him. I didn't support Hillary. I didn't support Trump. So just so you know, I wasn't a supporter. I don't hate him though. But I think he's a good example of extreme passion for one thing that he believes in. And Harry is kind of like that with the charity. You can tell that he is pays attention to appearances, because I think he's a pretty good dresser. I mean, especially even compared to William, I think he's a better, like, he's more into style. I think he always was. He also had more freedom to do so, because he's not the heir to the throne. But now let's get off of the light side of the intelligent, exacting, good advice, but advice you don't want to hear, Virgo. And let's go to the dark side of Virgo, to be fair, because we did that with Leo, and I don't want to get stuck on the positive. Oh, Naomi, you're a Virgo. That's why you talk all positively about Virgos. Believe me, we are going to be the first to pick ourselves apart before we pick other people apart. If you knew what goes on in our heads, believe me, I already know all our negatives. But I'm going to read it off of exemplar.com/astrology, how Virgo makes enemies. So that you guys, so I'm not biased. Okay. Listen to this, guys. This is so fascinating. The daily celebrity gossip show TMZ airs video clips of Hollywood stars caught on the run. TMZ was founded by a Virgo. Criticism, trying to catch people in their worst moments, trying to pick out the little details and of all celebrity lives. TMZ was founded by a Virgo. I find this hilarious. Virgos are their own ideal, but negative Virgo is secretly insecure and therefore cannot tolerate other people's faults or sins. Virgo is often also an addict or has mental health issues that are not dealt with. Not all Virgos, but the ones who have issues, because they want to appear perfect to everybody, because they have that stress they put on themselves of wanting to look perfect. They won't go and get help. They want to go help everybody else, because the archetype of Virgo is the servant. It's also Demeter and Diana, two goddesses. But it's also giving to people, but giving so much to people that they don't take care of themselves. So you see a good number of negative Virgos who are alcoholics. I've seen this in my own life with another Virgo that I knew who had a serious problem. It was a friend of a friend. I'm not going to share their business of who they are, but you know. Virgos often can be called condescending because while they are intelligent, they often speak in a manner that sounds like they feel they know more than you do. Never tell a negative Virgo your secrets. They may selflessly sit by listening to all your juicy details, but then they will write you out. But then they are hoping to be written into your will for their own benefit. They can be nitpicky. Many like to work around powerful people because it generates good gossip. They can be very generous, but they can be very cheap. They can wear sweatpants cleaning their apartments, but they also can lust after luxury cars. Okay. Virgos are very competitive and business-minded. Michael Jackson, Beyonce. Almost every list of Virgo traits includes a dark side for addiction. Amy Winehouse, River Phoenix, Hank Williams. They can be addicts, but it is extra hard for them when they believe in perfection to accept that they need a change. Exactly. I've seen this with a Virgo who had an addiction problem and could not see the need to change because they wanted to believe they were living up to the perfectionist ideal while at the same time telling everybody else how they were not perfect enough. So there's that contrast with a negative Virgo that does that. So going back to Prince Harry, we may see this image of, you know, a witty, confident, charismatic type of, you know, good at bantering type of guy. And that actually is Virgo. People don't realize that, but Virgos are actually very witty, very funny. I dated a Virgo for a while who was very funny, but it was like an intellectual type of humor you have to understand. Usually if you're like a Gemini, a Libra, or another Virgo, you get it more. But yeah, very funny. But they put on this show, but behind closed doors, sometimes it's a different situation. And you can see, as I said, mental health issues, addiction issues, etc. with some Virgos. Of course, not everybody, just like not every Leo has negative traits only either. Virgo, I would like to say, is a feminine energy sign, meaning unlike Leo, it is not masculine energy. Therefore, Harry has a feminine essence to him. Now, I saw some comments below the other day saying, oh no, but this person appears feminine. They're not masculine energy. guys, feminine energy, masculine energy in the spiritual sense, and I think most of you know this, has nothing to do with the way somebody looks. I could be, you know, having a tiny waist and wide hips and a large chest and look super feminine, you know, and be like, just like Marilyn Monroe. But if my sign is in a masculine spiritual energy, there's still an essence of me and the way I think that's masculine. That has nothing to do with appearance. It has nothing to do with biological sexual attraction. It has nothing to do with societal mores on how we're supposed to look. Like the new thing for a while was being fit and going to the gym all the time. And that was what certain guys who follow the media like a lot about women, because they get brainwashed by the media. Then there's another group of guys who have always liked their traditional, you know, small waist, wide hips ratio, and that's what they're biologically attracted to, and that's feminine to them. This has nothing to do with either of those things. It has nothing to do with that looking athletic. It has nothing to do with looking curvy. It has nothing looking to do like a supermodel, tall and thin. What I am talking about is a spiritual essence. All Virgos have a spiritual feminine yin energy to them, just like all Leos have a spiritual masculine yang energy to them. Yang is the sun, yin is the moon. Diana, one of the goddess archetypes of Virgo, is goddess of the moon. Cancer is ruled by Luna, the actual goddess of the moon. So this is why Cancer and Virgo kind of like are like sister signs, like go hand in hand with each other. But Virgo is more at their core, even though they're an analyzer, very intelligent, very much in the intellect, which is masculine. Virgo at their heart and soul and core is a server, is a giver. And also can be a nitpicky, if you think of the nitpicky archetype of the mother who picks too much and then makes you feel like shit about yourself. That's the negative of Virgo right there. So getting off the topic, I got off going on into a whole digression about that. But this is the difference between masculine and feminine energy. It has nothing to do with looks. Like I said, you could be a guy like Idris Elba, I believe his name is, feminine energy. He is a very masculine looking man, very attractive man, feminine energy still. Same thing with Harry, has a feminine energy. Doesn't have anything to do with looks and whether or not a woman would be attracted to them or whatever. Or, you know, it has nothing to do with that. And it's funny because the other day when I was thinking of feminine energy men, I thought of Prince Harry. I thought of Prince William. He's a Cancer, that's feminine energy. And I also actually thought of Idris because I was like, who is a guy who looks very masculine and very attractive to women, but he has a feminine energy? And I thought of Idris. I thought of William, I thought of Harry, and actually Bernie Sanders has that too, undertoning him. He's not really attractive to a lot of women. I mean, he's an elderly man now. Let's give him a break. He's like in his 80s. But the feminine energy, because it's that caring. Like, even if you don't agree with his policies, he has this passion and caring that he wants to help others. That's that nurturing feminine energy. And in the negative, it comes across as a zealot. It comes across as somebody who is unwilling to listen to anybody else's opinions, and it is just so freaking stubborn. Prince Harry is known as being very stubborn, you know. Beyonce is known as being very stubborn. I really respect and admire her. I don't particularly like everything she stands for, but I admire her just for her talent and work ethic alone, like a lot. In that aspect, I admire her. You know, there's these other aspects, and they kind of, I don't know. I feel like the negatives of Virgo mesh more together than the negatives and positives of Leo. Leo, I think because they're such a dominant, cardinal, strong sign, the negatives and positives are very separate. Whereas Virgo, the negatives can almost be the same as the positives. Like, Virgo will tell you what you really want to hear and tell you the things you need to hear. But at the negative, do you always want to hear that kind of stuff? Do you always want somebody being, you know, so truthful and honest about your flaws that they're hurtful and it seems like they don't care, you know? And like I said, Virgo is one where it's harder to tell. He can appear, Harry can appear so nice and jovial around everybody else, but he might be very critical behind closed doors. And also, him and Meghan have a match in the Virgo because Meghan has a Venus in Virgo, I believe. I think she has Venus in Virgo. Let me just double check. Either that or she's Mars. Yeah, she's Venus in Virgo. So what she likes in a partner and how she acts in a relationship is more like a Virgo. So we see all these Leo traits, whatever, all the negative things people are reacting off of her. has to do with the Leo qualities, but how she is behind closed doors in a relationship is more like Virgo. So this is where we see the connection between her and Harry, and this is almost also where we might see the clash. The two of them behind closed doors can end up nitpicking each other, negative Virgo, could end up saying I know best, negative Virgo, could end up giving each other health tips to the other one's detriment. The other one doesn't want to listen to the health tips and says, well, how do you know best? I know best, negative Virgo. You know, being overly concerned with health, being overly concerned about the person's well-being, and doing that mother archetype, I know best, that it gets on the other partner's nerve. And both of them will relate to each other that way because Harry is a Virgo and Meghan is a Venus in Virgo. So when we talk about, again, going back to the negative qualities, Virgo is one of the first fashion criticism websites. I forgot where it said in the article, but one of the first fashion criticism websites about making fun of people or who wore it the worst, who wore it the best. I forget the person's name, but also it says in this article was a Virgo, because while Virgos a lot of times have good taste in picking out things for people, they can be some of the biggest snobs when it comes to what other people look like, what other people wear, and not very nice about it. Not very empathic about it, just very like, huh, well, you know, like that, like turning their nose up at things. So what we get with Virgo, why some people will be drawn to Virgos, is because of the intelligence, because of making a good conversation, because of the wittiness, and also because of the ability to do one thing really well. Like I said, Janet Jackson, not Janet Jackson, Beyonce, Michael Jackson, Amy Winehouse, all masters in their field of music, right? Good examples. But people can be really, really freaking put off by Virgos too. Virgos can be a complete tyrant in a different way than a Leo can. Think about Queen Elizabeth I, probably the best example of a Virgo who did great things for their country, but was a ruthless, monstrous tyrant. If you put a Virgo in a control situation, unfortunately, they can go rogue and turn really dark really fast. And this woman, make no mistake, if you look at her history, she was a tyrant. Yes, she brought England into somewhat of a golden age, or the United Kingdom, and helped the United Kingdom quite a lot through British history. But this woman was a tyrant. I'm not talking about Elizabeth the II. I'm talking about Elizabeth I. She was a tyrant, and she was a Virgo. She refused to get married because she knew the king could overtake her power. And then as a woman, because back then the laws were different, she wouldn't have much power anymore. I said she brought England kind of back into somewhat of a golden age, but she was ruthless and had a continuing conflict in Spain, France, the Netherlands, and a rebellion against her in Ireland. She managed to dominate. Indeed, any handsome man could scrounge up a wardrobe sufficiently elegant to be admitted to court, so they could catch her eye. So they had to dress a certain way to catch her eye. Again, you know, the shallowness. But yeah, she basically was like a black widow and discarded them. So it's kind of like that energy that I was saying of like, I have to be the best, you know, and everybody else has to be a certain way and look a certain way that she did. Like, if they don't dress a certain way, they're beneath me. That discriminatory, like, no, stuck up in the air energy that Elizabeth I had. So that is very similar to that Virgo energy I was talking about, and the perfectionism at the detriment of everybody else, and always needing perfectionism to the point where it drives everybody insane. So while we may see Virgos in the public eye looking a certain way, we don't really know how they are behind closed doors, because sometimes they can act a little bit different. So it's just something to think about, especially, and it, you know, relates to Elizabeth. But anyways, nobody else can have an opinion. Their opinion is right, and nobody else's input can override that opinion. I think this is probably the most negative traits of Virgos, is I know best, and if you're going to argue with me, you're wrong, and you can tell me as many different things as you want, you're still wrong, because I know best and I know the truth, and I'm very smart and I'm a Virgo. That's the way it is with a lot of Virgos. And like I said, Harry doesn't come across this like this in the public eye. Maybe Beyonce doesn't either. You know, other Virgos, like maybe Amy Winehouse didn't either when she was alive. But there's that undertone of it, and you can see it, especially in people like Bernie Sanders. Again, a very likable guy, very passionate about what he says, But again, that ruthlessness, like my beliefs are the belief and they are the right belief and I'll never back down. That's the Virgo. And that puts off a lot of people in the sense that it's like, okay, well, I have an opinion too. Can you listen? You know what I mean? And so Virgo is going to be the one who, like, you know, when you have that saying, you shouldn't beat a dead horse. Virgo beats the dead horse repeatedly, trying to drive their idea and their view into somebody. That's Virgo in the negative. All right, guys. So like, comment, share, subscribe. Go to naomitarot.com if you'd like a private reading. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.